1 minute before start time here. So with that, we are recording. So good evening and welcome. My name is Paul Morris. It's my pleasure, my honor to welcome you to our webinar tonight. Probably one of the most exciting webinars you've seen regarding Young Living essential oils and why we're the world's best. And I guarantee you, a half an hour from now, there will be no doubt in anybody's mind that we are not the absolute best oils in the world. And so let's talk about these vital questions to ask before buying oils from any essential oil company, and definitely prior to joining any essential oil company. Well, let's take a look. Here's the questions. Question one, does the company own any farms where they grow their own plants? That's a simple, easy question to ask somebody. Just say, when they pitch you on their brand, say, I'm interested in real quality control, and play dumb. Say, does the company you are buying oils from, do they own any farms where they grow their own plants? Yes or no? And most people say, gee, I don't know. Well, gee, could you find out for me? Well, we know the answer is going to be no. Well, our answer is that the Young family, wife Mary, and children of the late Gary Young, owns and have joint venture partner farms located in Utah, Idaho, Canada, Peru, France, Ecuador, Israel, Oman, Croatia, Philippines, Bulgaria, Spain, South Africa, Taiwan, and including Sandalwood Forest in Hawaii and Australia. We literally have farms all over the world. Continuing with that answer, we now have 21 farms, and all 21 farms are under strict quality control protocols and are governed by the utmost and the highest of standards established by Gary Young himself, and that was to ensure the maximum purity, the optimal potency, and the authenticity of our oils. Just a few of our 21 farms around the world include Guayaquil, Ecuador. I've been there a half a dozen times. Out there in Salalah, Oman. I've not been to that one. Mona, Utah. I've been there, I don't know, 20 times or more, maybe more. St. Mary's, Idaho. Been there a few times. Walked around behind the D8 bulldozers, pulling the roots up out of the soil as they were cultivating a new farmland to grow lavender. Provence, France. Sandy's been there. And then Croatia. We were in Croatia a few years ago, and Gary was telling us how there was such a helichrysum shortage that they bought all this acreage out there to grow their own helichrysum. And then British Columbia, Canada, and then our Highlands Flats, Idaho farm. And so that's just a few of our farms, but no other essential oil MLM company owns, operates, and distills on its own farms around the world like Young Living does. We're truly unique. Just take a look. That's a worldwide view here, and that's only partial. You know, we've opened up the Philippines, we've opened up Spain, we've opened up a farm in Darwin, Australia, another few thousand acres in Kununurra, Australia. Then we opened up Bulgaria. And just recently, we just opened up South Africa. So if you've got friends in South Africa, get them on the phone, start talking to them. We're in full-blown operation down there. We can't advertise on social media yet, but we are in operation. They can enroll and sign up other people. So ask them how many new farms they plan on opening this year. They might say, well, we don't have any. Well, how many do they plan on opening this year? Well, Young Living is committed to opening up 5 new farms this year. The other company, probably none. Ask them, question 2, does the company have their own fully equipped testing laboratory to verify the oil's composition? Well, the answer for Young Living is a resounding yes. Every batch of Young Living essential oils, whether distilled on Young Living's affiliate farms or flown in from a trusted outside distiller, is subjected to state-of-the-art analysis at the Young Living Chemistry Lab. No other company tests their products as thoroughly as Young Living. Continuing with answer 2, it's test, test, and test again. Young Living runs more tests on each batch of its essential oils than any other company. They do 18 to 20 different specific tests on each batch in triplicate. In other words, they do 20 different tests, and then they do it again the second time, and they do it again the third time. Results are published for us to see. Well, you'll hear later, but we're a full disclosure company. When each new batch comes in, it takes 2 weeks for that 20 to 30 people that we have on staff. We have 20, 30 scientists, well, actually a total of 30, but it takes 20 to 30 of them to do all these tests, and they do it 3 times, not just once. No other company tests as much and as many times as we do. We are the world leader in testing. Continuing with the second answer, advanced testing equipment. Gary has created some of his own testing equipment that is even more sophisticated than other independent labs. And I was there on this tour in Guayaquil, Ecuador. This is on the farm up in Chagón and Ecuador. And Gary was showing us, this is a piece of equipment that Gary invented. He took other machines apart, combined them, put them together, and does more in-depth testing than any other machine that existed. And with all this great testing equipment, guess what? We still send our oils out to a third-party lab for further proof that our oils are what they say they are. And why do we do that? We want to remove any doubt, all doubt whatsoever, about the authenticity of our oils. You've all heard about fake news. Well, there's fake news in the oil world too. There's rumors out there, oh, Young Living dilutes their oils. Oh, Young Living oils aren't pure. That's poppycock. That's fake news. Don't believe it. We've got the proof and we can back it up. And if you see an article to that effect, get it to me. We'll get you the rebuttal to that article showing that it was fake news. Continuing, we have a massive investment, an enormous financial investment of the most advanced equipment in the world. Young Living staff subjects every incoming lot of essential oils to this battery of 18 to 20 tests that include the sophisticated gas chromatography mass spectrometry, they're called the GCMS device. And for heavy metals analysis, we have optical rotation chiral column testing, refractive index, specific gravity, flash point, and additional advanced tests can include a high-performance liquid chromatography and isotopic ratio mass spectrometry. No other MLM oil company has a fraction of the equipment that Young Living does, and most of them have zero equipment. It's all done outside in a third-party lab. Well, we have no tolerance for error. Oils that exhibit even the slightest hint of possible tampering or adulteration, even if provided from one of our very trusted suppliers, are retested for even more in-depth dissection using techniques as the very expensive and sophisticated carbon isotope analysis. And again, Young Living spares no expense to be able to prove that our oils are authentic and that they're therapeutic grade A, period. Continuing with that answer, most stringent testing in the world. Each essential oil must pass Young Living's stringent battery of tests to ensure that the optimal bioactive natural compounds are present. Most people just test to see if there's impurities in there. You know, we test not just for that, we test to see if it's got the optimal amount of bioactive natural compounds present in that oil. Young Living uses its own internal labs plus third-party laboratories to verify every essential oil meets or exceeds our carefully researched specifications. Now, if we've got the most sophisticated labs in the world, even more sophisticated than the third-party labs, why do we use third-party labs? Very simply, to remove all doubt of any conflict of interest or that we may have just fudged something because we owned all the equipment. So we still send it out to third-party labs so that you've got the solid, rock-solid proof that our oils are the purest, authentic oils on the planet. Gary is trained, and he knew after he get bit by that spider down in Peru with a 90-some-odd% death rate for anyone with that spider bite. He knew his days were numbered. He outlived longer than almost anybody that got that bite before, but he knew that his time was limited. He quickly trained a staff of 30 scientists and product developers to replace him. Most companies don't even have a product developer, or they have one product developer that's not even on staff. They work for another company. And we have 30 trained scientists, product developers on staff. That's a picture of them in our Spanish Fork, Utah laboratory at our global headquarters. And number 3, does the company test each batch to determine it was harvested at the exact best time and distilled at the perfect temperature to ensure the maximum potency and the highest number of active constituents? They don't even know the answer to that one. But we do. Our answer is that Gary Young developed and set in place testing protocols to evaluate an oil and determine what compounds are present, which ones are missing, and in what quantities. An essential oil company needs those protocols in place to check every batch of oil to make sure it is up to the Gary Young's established therapeutic grade A standards. And we set that standard. We've set the standard for the world. It's estimated that about 95% of all essential oils sold in the U.S., other than Young Living oils, are grade B or lower. So you can take pride in knowing that we are that very small little itty bit that is actually therapeutic grade A standard oil. Continuing with the answer to question 3, our team of top scientists. We have over 30 scientists and product developers on staff who are qualified to discern certain aspects of chemistry that a standard testing laboratory cannot measure. Matter of fact, that team is headed up by Sue Chow. I've met her on many occasions. She's the director of our quality control. She spent more than a decade and a half working with Gary Young and other researchers to refine and develop the unique Young Living therapeutic grade standard. That's a picture of her and Gary when on one of their trips to China when they were exploring the wolfberries. Well, there's a simple test you can do. It doesn't take a lot of scientific expertise here. And that is simply compare the aroma of any other oil to a similar Young Living oil and experience the difference. Even though Young Living has all the science to prove they're the world's best, the most convincing test for you, the layman, is to simply compare the aromas. Well, with the lab results, you can tell the difference, but with your nose, you can smell the difference, and there's a big difference. Question 4, Does the company regularly send staff to visit the distilleries and farms of their suppliers to verify the quality of their oils and to confirm that the herbs are being grown organically, without pesticides, without herbicides, or any chemical fertilizers? Most people won't even know the answer to that. Well, our answer is that we market more than 100 species of oils, and we simply cannot possibly raise them all on our own farms. Even though we've got 21 farms now, we can't possibly raise them all, so we do have to rely on some outside growers and suppliers. They not only make initial site visits to verify the oils are being produced and packaged properly, but they have a protocol of making repeated visits from time to time to make sure the standards are being upheld. And Gary shared with us how they do those visits and how they actually train the people, because a lot of people with distilling oils had no idea what they were doing, and Gary had to teach them how to distill the oils properly, how important it was for timing and temperature and heat and everything else and pressure and all that sort of thing. This also includes, and he was sharing with us, unannounced surprise visits like, hello, we're here, just to make sure that they're not, behaving differently when we're there visiting and then from when we are making a surprise sneak visit. And so we do that as well. And here's a picture of Gary, and he's always looking for the best solutions out there and the best suppliers, the best sources of oils. This is him in Jordan. He's developing strong relationships with all of our suppliers and partner farms around the world. As a result of that, Gary's pioneering the essential oil movement. Young Living is the most respected name in the essential oil industry. Talk to anybody in the essential oil industry. Oh, Gary Young. Oh, Young Living. Yeah, they're the best. And so, and again, this is in Oman, Jordan, with the frankincense farmers. Question 5, do the labs have labs on site to test for determination of the exact time for harvest to ensure optimum quality of their oils? And in some cases, we actually built a lab on site so that we could do that to make sure our oils were. The answer is we do have labs on each farm. If they didn't have them, we build them there. Young Living has its own labs on the farm to test the plants right from the field as they mature to determine the exact time of day to harvest the crop for the best quality and the highest potency of oil. This is necessary because plants change their chemistry throughout the season and throughout the day, varying from week to week and even hour to hour. So they'll check a plant in the morning, they'll check it in the afternoon, they'll check it in the evening, they'll check it day to day until it's just exactly the right time to do it. And then they just harvest it immediately, rush it off to the distillery and distill it immediately. Timing does matter. And we found out that a lot of other farmers out there, they have no concern about timing. Some oils need to be distilled immediately. Some oils need to be harvested in the morning. Some oils need to be harvested in the afternoon. Some oils need to be left on the ground for a few days. Some oils need to be rushed right to the cooker right away. Well, question 6. Can the farms where the company grows the plants furnish proof that the crops were actually harvested at their peak time and that there was no inordinate delay in taking them to the still and into the cookers? Well, our answer for that is simply, we keep logbooks on that. Timing is everything. Therefore, we purchase oils from farms that have on-site testing labs to determine that peak harvest time. They don't have those labs, and we don't go in and build them, and we don't buy from them. Anyone we buy from, we've got labs on site to determine peak harvest time and distills immediately on harvest the Young Living strict highest of standards and specifications. All Young Living products are produced from quality plants grown in exceptional soil and are harvested and distilled at the optimal time when the plants reach their peak. A few days early, a few days late, a few hours early, a few hours late could make a big difference in the number of constituents and the actual potency of that oil. Even if the peak time is the coldest time of the year, that's when Gary distilled. Gary started distilling our tree oils, and he used to start distilling them, and he distilled them in the summer and the fall and the winter. He'd do them in January, February, March, April, May. He did that as part of his process, years and years ago, and he found out that all of our Idaho balsam fir, Idaho blue spruce, black spruce, all these, that they create the greatest and maximum potency on the absolute coldest days of the year. And this is a picture of the Idaho balsam fir harvest, and Gary discovered it yields its maximum potency right during the coldest days of the year. And there they are up in Highland Flats, Idaho. Number 7, is there distillery personnel skilled in both the art and science of extracting the highest oils? The answer, probably not for all the others, but for Young Living, yes, they are. Young Living makes sure that all of our suppliers are trained and skilled in the art and science of distilling, and they know exactly how to pack the cookers, how to administer the steam, how to maintain minimum temperatures and pressures throughout the cooker, and how to monitor the process throughout the distillation to make sure the oil produced contains all of its components in the proper proportions. This is something that Gary has insisted on. Matter of fact, Gary is right here, training as scientists. He'll actually train the people on the farms. When we were with him in Croatia, he was telling us that he visited all the distilleries in Croatia where they distill helichrysum. He shared a great story with us on helichrysum. What had happened, we had a big drum of helichrysum come in, and we sorely needed it. We needed it for a Panaway. We needed it for several other products that the helichrysum is in, plus people wanting the helichrysum itself. Gary tested it, and it was not up to his standards. It broke his heart that we had all these oils on back order waiting for helichrysum, and he couldn't pass it. He rejected it. And as a result, we went months and months more on back order. So what did Gary do? Goes to Croatia, buys a couple thousand acres, starts a helichrysum farm. And what he was sharing with us is that helichrysum only grows on a Greek isle, and that's mostly for perfumers. And the other place it grows in Croatia. But they have like the distillers pay guys by the burlap bagful. So they run around, grab the plant, yank it right up out of the ground, roots and all, killing the plant, and then take the bag into the distillers. Gary found out that many of them that were distilling with wood-fired furnaces with no temperature control. He also found out that some of the local farmers that were growing helichrysum were growing it in damp, wet soil, and helichrysum is supposed to be in dry, rocky soil. They were also growing melissa, which should be in damp, moist soil, and they were growing that in the rocky soil. Gary literally had to go in there and teach these farmers how to grow. Now they all many of them work for Gary now on our big, huge helichrysum farm in Croatia. But think about this, find and eat and fill it. Gary realized it's almost an extinct plant. I guess it's on the endangered species list almost. They actually have like a lobster season. There's only certain times you can actually harvest helichrysum, but we do it sustainably. We take off the first top inches of the plant to keep on growing. They would just pull them out of the ground and destroying it. And so what we've done now is we may be one of the only, in a few years, we may be only one of the only oil companies that even have helichrysum because we're growing our own and it is in such short supply in the world. And so again, that's just another reason why Young Living is the best one out there. Continuing with that answer, just a few degrees difference in temperature could drastically affect the number of active constituents in an essential oil. And I've read articles by Dave Stewart in some of the books that say just a few degrees different could make the difference of a couple hundred constituents, active constituents that aren't there if we were too hot or not hot enough. And so it's got to be just meticulously distilled at the exact determined temperature for maximum potency. And it's a temperature for each plant. It has its own specific temperature. So it's been a lifetime of Gary Young testing and testing and testing and retesting to determine this. Commercial distillers in Europe typically distill at 400 degrees, and they have 150 pounds of pressure. We have very low temperature with just a few pounds of pressure so that we're not destroying it. Here's again Gary bonding and connecting with and developing relationships with growers at one of our farms in Israel. 8, if their supplier makes a mistake in the harvesting or distillation that results in an inferior grade of oil, what does that supplier do with it? Do they discard it? Or do they sell the oil anyway? We've got cases where we've rejected the oil and found out it gets sold somewhere else. So it's a small world out there. And again, another answer. In a few instances where a batch of our own oil grown and distilled by Young Living in our own fields, in our own distillers, if that oil still did not measure up to Gary's standards, the oil was discarded, but we do it by using it on the animals on the farm or spraying it on the fields. Some companies will sell inferior oil anyway. Young Living will never do that. Gary would rather be in short supply of a given species of oil than to market an inferior product. And we've all seen examples where oils are on back order for months and months, but Gary would not waver on this. Young Living will never accept an inferior quality oil from any other supplier that did not meet Gary's standards, including oils in the most popular blend, Valor. Now, we all know and love Valor. Valor, what's one of the oils that was in short supply and ran out? Black spruce. And you know what? Gary rejected a huge batch of it because it didn't meet his standards, and it meant Valor was on back order for months and months more. What did he do? He starts a new farm, and he goes to the Northern Lights farm, builds a whole new farm, and starts harvesting and distilling black spruce. And when we find an oil we can't get anywhere else in the world, Gary's built a farm and built distillers and started distilling it right on location. So question 9, do they know if the cookers in the distilleries of their company suppliers have dome-shaped lids or cone-shaped lids? And you might think, what's the difference? Well, I'll tell you, most competitors purchase from suppliers that use dome-shaped lids. How do I know that? Because until recently, the last statistic I read We're the only company in North America that has cone-topped cookers. Well, cone-topped cookers deliver a better grade of oil than dome tops. So does the company employ different distillation techniques and different equipment for distilling different oils? Each oil has to be distilled a little differently. Well, again, our answer is yes. And if you've ever been out to any of our distillery operations, you'll see our beautiful patented, designed and built and patented by Gary Young, cone-top cookers. There you are, you're looking at it right now, that cone top. And why do they have that? Well, what Gary did, he went down inside of one of these cookers, took a flashlight and a hammer, and he went down to the distiller, and they had him lock the top down, fire it up, and start running the steam through, just like they were distilling a batch of, maybe they did have some plant material in there, just to check it out. And why did he take the hammer? In case it got too hot, he was going to bang on or he had to get out, he was going to bang on the side with the hammer so they could open it up and let him out. Well, the funny story was, while he's down there conducting this test and his workmen is standing around, waiting to hear him bang on the side, Mary comes up and says, "Hey, you guys see Gary anywhere?" And they're like, "He's around here somewhere. Well, where is he? I need to talk to him." Well, you want to tell him? No, you tell him. He's in the cooker. She goes, "What? Let him out." But that's what Gary did. He went down inside the cooker, fired it up, and he wanted to watch the air currents. And he noticed that in the dome top, it recirculated back through the plant mass. And when it goes through that plant mass, it can actually alter the constituents of that oil. So he decided that he had to develop that cone top, and that's why the cone top came about. And dome top lids allow for the recirculation of the oil-bearing steam to recirculate through the plant mass, and that's not good. The cone top lids allow the oil-laden steam to just spiral up and out of the cooker without recirculation. And they found in testing that makes a huge difference. And again, Gary designed and built the world's first cone top distiller. I imagine over the years we'll have knockoffs and other people will, find a way to get around the patent and start doing the same thing. But right now, to my knowledge, we're the only ones that do that. Next, continuing our answer on that, we have low pressure at very low temperatures. Young Living believes that steam distillation is more effective in distilling oils and produces a better, more pure oil. Young Living's proprietary low-temperature, low-pressure steam distillation process ensures that the beneficial plant compounds in every batch of essential oil remain uncompromised during the extraction process. For our citrus oil, cold-pressed extraction is used. The choice of distillation extraction method depends solely on the individual essential oil. Continuing, Gary was able to determine that a dome-shaped lid caused the oil-bearing steam to curl back and flow into the plant, altering the chemistry and losing some of the constituents, while a cone-shaped lid allowed the steam to spiral directly up and out into the condenser without recirculating. And how did he do that? Well, I already kind of clued you in on that. By climbing down into the cooker, having the lid locked, and watching the steam movements. Do you know, as CEO of any other company that would have ever done that? I just don't think so. That's the kind of man, the man that Gary was. Question 10. Do they know if their suppliers will guarantee they do not supplement the distillation process with solvents to extract additional oil from plant matter? That's an important question, because most distillation operations do that. Not only do they use high pressure, they also use solvents. Young Living, we can answer yes to that question. Other companies, I just don't know. Anyway, Young Living distills oils at minimum pressures and minimum temperatures to gently coax the oils and all of its compounds into the finished product. Significant money, time, and labor could be saved by distilling in high pressures and high temperatures like many companies do, because high pressure, high temperature distillation may produce an oil with the fragrance compounds of an oil, but not with the same therapeutic active compounds. Young Living never uses solvents to finish off the distilling process, although many companies do. We have only one distillation, only one, never a second one. And Gary is right here. This is on tour at the Lavender Farm. I was there. I remember what he was wearing that day in Mona, Utah, teaching people about the distillation process and why we have the absolute best oils in the world. Pure plant materials, again, no solvent, totally pure plant materials, and it's low pressure distillation only, and never a second high pressure distillation. See, we could crank the pressure up, crank the heat up, add some solvents, and we could get more oil out of that same batch. We won't do it because it will not be the same quality. Freshly harvested lavender is all going in the cooker right now. And there's nothing like being there on lavender. We've been there many days that they were distilling lavender. The air just is fragrant with the lavender aroma. Do they know if their suppliers bottled directly from the distillery without modifying the composition of the natural oil by adding or removing anything from the oil? Well, our answer is yes. because after testing, Young Living oils are bottled in their complete natural state without adulteration. That means not adding any compounds or removing compounds. Every Young Living farm and all of their suppliers do not modify the essential oils in any way. If an oil does not meet specifications, it's never adjusted, and that's spiked with components, etc. It is never used by Young Living, and it's returned back to the supplier. Young Living ensures our oils are natural, unadjusted, and free of any synthetic compounds. And this is you all get to see this if you're ever out there in Mona, Utah. Convention's coming up. You definitely want to get a ticket out there to convention. But this is a distillation in progress at our lavender farm in Mona. And that oil is dripping down. We call it liquid gold. It's a beautiful sight to behold, as that unadulterated, truly authentic, pure Young Living essential oil drips from a condenser to the chamber, the separation, where it separates the oil from the floral water. Now, that water you see below the oil is called floral water. And at the farms, they let us bottle it and bring it home because it drips out of a little faucet on the side. But in Ecuador, they pump the floral water all the way over to their spa, and they fill their hot tubs with it. And when we were down there, we took a hot tub. We soaked in the hot tub for an hour in ylang-ylang floral water. Oh my gosh, that was heaven, heaven. Shimmering like liquid gold, the oil floats to the top of the floral water as it naturally separates itself from that condensed steam, again called floral water. Pure essential oil bottled in its natural state like none other. Well, our oils are created with a passion for purity, passion for excellence, 100 authenticity, 100%. There is love in every drop, and that's what makes us different than all the others. Do they know if their company has tested their company's oil side by side with Young Living oils in the same lab to make a comparison? If so, where's their data? They want to say, oh, we're better than Young Living? Show us the test results that show that it is. They ain't got those kind of results. They don't exist. More fake news. Anyway, Young Living never makes a statement that cannot be backed up with facts and documentation. We're a full disclosure company. I was out there once, they were telling us they even have the GPS readings of where the stuff was farmed in the world. We know everything about the source of our products, where they come from, and their quality. The therapeutic quality of our oils are so recognized that over 50 hospitals use Young Living essential oils. Here's a list of those hospitals. They even have St. Luke's Hospital in New Bedford, where I was born many, many years ago. And so hospital acceptance is further proof of our therapeutic grade A quality. If these oils didn't work, hospitals wouldn't be using them. The 13th question, do they let distributors come to their farms and their partner farms around the world to physically participate in the farming operations, the planting, the harvesting, and the distillation process? Well, the answer with us is you're invited. Sandy's been to Hawaii for the sandalwood harvest with Teri, Secrest, our sponsor. She's been to lavender harvest in France. We've been to many lavender harvests in Mona, Utah. We've been to the farms in Ecuador 5 or 6 times. We've been to Idaho. They let us come and work on the farm. And that's just one thing about Young Living that makes us different. They invite its members to come to their farms and participate in clearing the land and planting trees, harvesting, distilling. They let us do all that. We walk behind a D8. They even let us sit in the D8 bulldozer and move it forward and backward. We'd walk behind the bulldozer and pull the roots out of the ground on fresh soil that Gary was preparing to plant another 100 acres of lavender. This is Young Living members planting trees on one of the farms. They actually let us jump in and pack down the material. People just love coming to the farms. Now I want to just show you just one picture. This is Sandy and I on the bottom left there, and that's Gary on the far right. We're down there in the farm in Chagong, right outside of Guayaquil, and we'd gone down there one year. We planted literally thousands of ylang-ylang trees. Matter of fact, there's a picture of Sandy planting a ylang-ylang tree in the Gary Young book. And then we came back a few years later and we harvested the ylang-ylang flowers and distilled them. And Gary told us, all right, this blossom, we can't pick this today. We're going to come back and pick it tomorrow. It's going to be picked first thing in the morning. This one, we missed it. It matured during the night, and we can't pick that one. We just missed out. We got to leave it out. I said, oh man, it's a nice blossom. No, it's got to be just perfect. And Gary painstakingly taught us. And we'd pick one and he said, yep, that's right. No, throw that in the ground. Oh, no, don't pick that yet. It's too soon. That's how meticulous Gary is. And again, we planted hundreds and hundreds of ylang-ylang trees on the 2,300 acre farm in Ecuador. And that was another year we went back, harvested baskets of the blossoms. Man, we were just high, just sniffing all that ylang-ylang. And again, we were so honored and privileged to have the master teaching us how to distill the oils. Well, I'm going to let you in an industry secret. You ready for this? This is the real reason why other essential oil companies do not let you come to their farms. And if you want to find out what that reason is, ask them this question. Say, why don't you invite us to come visit your farms? They'll tell you, it's simple. We don't own any farms. That's why you can't go there. They don't have any. And that's another thing that separates us. Well, question 14, we're drawing near the end here. Can you consume their oils internally? Or are they for topical application of diffusion only? Now, I love this because almost every other oil you see says do not take internally, not for internal consumption, keep out of reach of children, all the danger signs on there. And I'm thinking, well, if it's that bad and you put it on your skin and it's in your bloodstream within a few seconds, then if it's not good to take internally, why should we put it even on our skin? That's one thing I've never been able to figure out. Well, anyway, our answer is in full compliance with FDA guidelines, our essential oils are labeled both for topical application and diffusing, and where appropriate, also labeled for internal consumption. We have a full line of our vitality oils that are all labeled for internal consumption. You can drink it, you can drip it in your mouth, you can cook it with it, you can make up recipes with it, put it in drinking water, make teas, all that sort of thing. And I don't know of a company that has a full line like we do. And here's just a little bonus question for some of you that are really interested in, saving the world here. And that bonus question is, does their company plant trees to help with the replenishing of forests that are used for the harvesting of essential oils? I don't know of one that could say they do, but this is Young Living at our Highland Flats farm in Idaho. And just the year, this is the one I had the statistics on, in just that 1 year, we put in 23,000 balsam fir trees, 50,000 blue spruce, 7,000 ponderosa pine, just to make sure that years to come, you will have these important essential oils as part of your library of oils to have and maintain. Well, one additional question. How long has their company been in business? Young Living can boast 25 years. Why is that important? Well, we're in an industry where companies come and go. And there's always new companies starting up and with essential oils and everything else. Well, I got statistics from a publisher of a network marketing magazine. He says 75% of all companies are gone the first year. 95% are gone the second year. At the end of 5 years, there's about 5 companies maybe chugging along in business, with only one doing any significant volume and growing. And then at the end of 10 years, there's only one company out of 1,000 still doing any significant business and growing. And so at 25 years, we're here to stay. We're in 30 markets worldwide. We ship to 200 different countries. We're number 6 in the United States, and we're one of the fastest growing companies in our industry. And we're number 15 in the whole world. And you minus out the companies that are in Brazil and China and South Korea and everything else, and party plan companies, it moves us up even higher. So we are the biggest and the best company out there. Many of our competitors are not even on that list of the top 100 in the world. Well, Gary Young is recognized as one of the world's top experts in essential oils. He's left us a legacy that will endure for generations to come. And that's a picture of him right there. It looks like he's looking at some frankincense resin right there. And he is recognized as the world leader. And again, that's him with some of our top scientists and people that source our products, making sure that they fully understand all of his guidelines. And again, that's in our Spanish Fork lab. You're welcome to go there and take a tour when you're out there for convention. So you might want to do that when you're out there for convention. Well, how does Young Living stack up with all the other companies out there? Well, if you go through the list, we're yes, 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 check, 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 yes, 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 yes. And how old are we? 25 years old with 21 farms around the world and growing, with another 4 more farms ready to open up again this year. So we tell you, hey, just forget the rest and join the best. Forget all of this. Young Living is the only sensible choice. It gets one big fat green check mark. Well, we're the only essential oils company that guarantee quality from seed to seal. You see what we do? We go in that pasture and we cordon off the strongest, the most beautiful, the biggest, most lush bushes, and we save them and let them go to seed, and we save those seeds, and we use those seeds and we plant them in a greenhouse in little pots, and we grow those, and then we set them out in the spring, and then we cultivate them, then we distill them, then we test them, then we bottle them and seal them. Seed to seal. No other MLM company out there in this industry does what we do with our seed to seal. And so it's not a slogan, it's our calling, and it's who we are, and it's what makes us different. That total control from the seed all the way to the seal and then to your home. And a little tribute to Gary here. There's one thing that no other essential oil company will ever have and can never have, and that's the legacy of Gary Young, the father of modern day essential oil movement. No other company can ever have him. No other company has ever had him. It's why it's called Young Living. That's his name, Gary Young. And we're blessed and honored to be a part of all that. And just my closing tribute to Gary is, in memory of a great man, we remember you as we use your essential oils every day. There's not a day goes by that I don't think of Gary multiple times and all the fun we've had traveling around the world and all I've learned from him. Gary, your oils have changed our lives. We're forever grateful to you for your gift to us. We really are. It's our honor to take your Young Living lifestyle message to the world. You're deeply missed, Gary. We really miss you. And now you know for certain which oils are the world's best. Young Living. They're the best in the world, period. Well, thank you for watching this. I'll stick on, answer any questions if you have any. We'll stop the recording. And we're going to stop that.